Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. The fate of a former Florence doctor accused in the death of 2 patients and overprescribing drugs to others remains in the hands of a Valley County jury tonight.
Chris Christensen is facing 2 counts of negligent homicide in this case, which has been in trial since last month. The jury received the case after closing arguments yesterday afternoon and continued to deliberate throughout today. The latest word from the county attorney's office is that the panel said they still hadn't reached a verdict as of tonight. A physician who testified in the Christensen trial is now under investigation himself in his home state of California. Dr. Forrest Tennant was among those who took the stand this week as an expert defense witness. But now the San Gabriel Valley Tribune is reporting Dr. Tennant is under suspicion. The newspaper reported Drug Enforcement Administration agents served search warrants Wednesday at Tennant's home in West Covina, California. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office said that told the Tribune that the raid was part of an ongoing investigation and no charges have been filed. However, court documents obtained by the paper show Tennant may be involved with other doctors in acquiring opioid painkillers from a Los Angeles-based pharmacy, with the doctors profiting from the illicit diversion of controlled substances, according to the DEA affidavit. Tennant served on the West Covina City Council in the late 1980s and is the town's former mayor.
Newly released reports show Representative Greg Gianforte made contradictory statements about his election eve scuffle with a newspaper reporter, telling deputies the reporter grabbed him first. But a few weeks later, Gianforte's formal apology said Guardian reporter Ben Jacobs did not initiate physical contact with me, saying he had no right to assault Jacobs. Exactly what happened during the May 24th campaign event in Bozeman was unclear in the immediate hours after the assault, which preceded the special election the next day. Initially, Gianforte's campaign spokesman said Jacobs started the scuffle, claiming he grabbed Greg's wrist and spun away from Greg, pushing them both to the ground. But within minutes, an audio recording released by the Guardian suggested it was Gianforte who grew angry as Jacobs tried to ask the GOP candidate's position on health care legislation. The Guardian report analyzed reports from the Gallatin County Sheriff's deputies where Gianforte told investigators Jacobs made the first physical contact and that the liberal media is just trying to make a story. Gianforte would plead guilty to misdemeanor assault.
The Flathead County Sheriff's Office issuing a $250,000 warrant for a man wanted for attempted murder. Sheriff Chuck Curry says his deputies are looking for 23-year-old Brian McCulley. Curry believes McCulley could possibly be in the Columbia Falls area tonight. He cautioned McCulley has violent tendencies. If you see him, you are encouraged to contact the Flathead Crime Stoppers, the number 752-TIPS. Turning now to weather, we're tracking a few snow showers for your weekends, especially in northwestern Montana. Here's Aaron Yost with our first forecast now. Aaron.
Yeah, a lot of us seeing those slowly diminish out there this evening, which will lead way to some slick roadways, not only right now, but overnight tonight until this all kind of fizzles out. Hamilton earlier today, First Security Bank ICAM, you could see those gray skies and obviously those passing snow showers. Again, the radar pretty quiet compared to what it was at earlier, but still dealing with a couple of slick spots here and there across west central Montana. We will see a nice break though this weekend, more so on Sunday. It will be short-lived. However, we've got our next storm system set to move in Sunday night into Monday. We've got all those details coming up.
Flathead Valley residents got a chance to see how a maker of precision scopes is making Kalispell its home.
MTN's Jack Ginsburg shows us how the company is focused on a unique new product.
U.S. Optics, a company that makes scopes for the military and law enforcement, has recently relocated from Southern California to Kalispell. The manufacturing company also sells to the public, and today they allowed people from the Flathead Valley to test their products and see how the scopes are assembled.
What did we bring to Kalispell? That's a big question a lot of people ask. And then, what is our scope? What makes our scope special? And I think by opening up the doors tonight, they can look through them, they can touch, feel them, they can, run them through the tests, and then they can go in the back there and they can actually walk through the assembly process.
Unfortunately, no cameras were allowed inside the assembly room, but we got to see the finished products on display. President and owner of U.S. Optics, Pat Harrigan, says the people who produce the scopes truly have a passion for it.
Each scope here in Kalispell is hand assembled by very skilled, qualified employees that have decades upon decades of experience in the firearms and optical industry. So it's definitely a labor of love.
One of the U.S. Optics professional shooters, Jake Vibert, touched on why he prefers to use these scopes in competition.
When we start to figure out what is best on a scope, for our game, what we do, long-range precision rifle shooting, it has to be dependable. And U.S. Optics, some of the most dependable scopes on the planet.
Harrigan says that whether they are selling to professional shooters, military, law enforcement, or everyday people, the level of production doesn't waver.
You know, regardless of who our end client is, we produce a scope to the same standard. And our standards are we want to produce the best scope in the world, and we believe that we do.
In Kalispell, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
As Thanksgiving gets closer, a class at one Missoula elementary school is offering gifts to their furry friends awaiting adoption.
MTN's Eric Clemens shows us how Chief Charlo Elementary 5th graders donated handcrafted blankets and toys to the animals from the Humane Society of Western Montana.
Nobody likes being left out in the cold. That goes double for the dogs and cats living at the Humane Society of Western Montana as they anxiously await their forever homes. As the temperatures plummet and daylight dwindles into winter's darkness, a group of very special children are brightening the days of those furry friends.
The students at Miss Fulbright's 5th grade classroom at Chief Charlo Elementary School handcrafted more than 30 blankets and a bunch of toys for all the puppies and kittens at the Humane Society of Western Montana.
We made the blankets, of course, by cutting and then tying the ends.
Okay, ready? Those blankets and toys, handmade from fleece, were delivered by the kids who made them right to the animals who will love them. For the kids, it's a heartwarming experience.
I have to say my favorite thing is seeing all the pets and watching them start to play with the toys. It kind of fills your heart.
Well, my favorite part is when you drop the toy in and a dog goes and immediately plays with it, or a cat. It makes you feel really special because they love the toys that you've made.
And for those working with the Humane Society, it's a sign that the world is still a good place.
It's really awesome to see the compassion of these kids and their excitement towards these animals. It's great for us to see, and it makes us really excited for our future here.
Though the gesture is a simple one and may not change the world overnight,
This is so cute.
It's a start. In Missoula, Eric Clements, MTN News.
Salute the Badge is brought to you by Montana Railing, supporting the Main Street of Montana for 30 years.
He spent his childhood overseas and in the air and says those life experiences help him on the streets of Missoula. Tonight we salute the badge of a Missoula County Sheriff's deputy who is on a mission to teach as well as serve.
My grandfather was a World War II bomber pilot. My dad's a pilot. My uncle's a pilot. I've grown up around aviation.
His feet are firmly on the ground now, but as a lifelong pilot, Missoula County Sheriff's Deputy Paul Von Gontard knows his way around the sky and wanted others to reach new heights too.
As a helicopter instructor, that was my favorite part of my job. I learned more and had a better time being an instructor and teaching others. Seeing their growth and development was far more rewarding for me than actually just flying myself.
Paul enjoys teaching, and he took that skill from planes to patrol cars to the sheriff's office. Among his other duties, he's also a field training officer.
That's my favorite part of this job, is having deputies come in with little to no law enforcement experience, going through our FTO program, which is one of the best in the state. I went through it. I loved it. It's a challenging program, but it builds confident, very, very well-skilled deputies.
By the time he was 18 years old, Deputy Von Gontard had been to 45 countries and lived in 7 of them. He graduated from high school in Australia. So now he's glad he can put down some roots and have a home life. And as someone who's been a reserve deputy, a firefighter, an EMT, and in search and rescue, he really likes the fact that every day on the job is different than the one before.
I've always been driven to do something where it's not the same every day. I don't do well with just a standard routine. I've always wanted something that was exciting and challenging. I like to push myself, and I like others to push me as well. So in this career, I get the opportunity to make decisions in the field that directly affect and influence people's lives, and those are based on decisions that I make based on my observations right there at the time and the moment.
Paul tells me his experience living in other countries gives him a broader understanding of people and cultures and helps him when he's out on the streets.
Some sunshine in the forecast this weekend, but we may have to get through a little sloppy conditions first, especially in northwest Montana.
Out next, Aaron Yo shows us what to expect for your weekend and who might see some snow. All those details still ahead here on KPAX.